Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Sunday. I hope all is well and you are enjoying your weekend, or as you're enjoying it as much as you possibly can after what happened at Arsenal yesterday. That 1-1 draw for Brentford, 2 points disappearing in, shall we say, controversial style. Now, apologies in advance for this. You might not want to hear it, but it's coming. This is going to be a bit of a rant video, I'm afraid, because I'm feeling pretty aggrieved this morning after what has emerged since leaving the Emirates last night. Now, look, let me get it out of the way. I said it on my player ratings video yesterday. Arsenal were not very good yesterday. I thought Brentford were excellent. I thought Ivan Toney was colossal. It was a brilliant performance by him. I thought Brentford were defensively solid, looked a real threat on the attack, and they fully deserved to get something from the game. I thought Arsenal was second best for most of the match. But, and it's a big but, they managed to find a way to get themselves in front. They held on when they weren't playing well. They kept plugging away and they got themselves a goal. And with 15 minutes remaining, they were winning 1-0. And then they were robbed. Plain and simple, they were robbed by total ineptitude of the officials, not on the pitch, but sat at Stockley Park and watching in the VAR studio. Now, at the time, I didn't think it was offside, and I was sitting there, I just get the normal match replays, and you think, oh, it's tight. I'm not sure. I don't know the rules as well as referees do. So in terms of the whole blocking thing for the first offside, when the free kick came in and Pinnock was in an offside position, and he was used as the blocker to stop Gabriel. I don't really know those rules inside out. So looking at it now and knowing those rules better, that was offside. But at least you can argue that was subjective, whether he was interfering or not, although he clearly was when you see the replay. But the second one was just offside, and it has since emerged, and I'm sure you know about it, and if you don't already know about it, and then this is what has happened and has since emerged, and the PGMOL have admitted it. Lee Mason, who was VAR for that game, forgot to draw the lines to check if he was offside. He forgot to draw the lines. It spent so long on the first offside, from the initial bit of the free kick, 3 minutes before he decided that wasn't offside, that he clearly was in a panicky state because he'd taken so long on that one, that he forgot to check if Norgard was offside before he crossed for Toney. And he was offside, and the lines would have shown that, but he didn't draw the lines. The most simple thing, the one thing he's there to do, his job, and he didn't do it. It's just, honestly, it's the most staggering thing. That if it wasn't so costly, it would be funny. Just the level of incompetence to actually do that, to not draw the lines. And you've got to think, this is the Premier League as a whole. Yesterday was a shambles. You got the handball in the Chelsea game, which again, you can at least argue is a subjective decision, because although it was clearly a handball, and I will argue anyone who says that it wasn't, it was just Souček handballed it. It was a save. It was like a goalkeeper. That should have been a penalty for Chelsea. But again, at least that can be argued as a subjective decision. The one at Crystal Palace, when Brighton had a perfectly good goal ruled out because of VAR in the studio, I've forgotten his name, who it was that time, drew the lines on the wrong player. He used the wrong defender, and had he actually used the right defender, who was behind the one he actually drew the lines on, it would have been onside and the goal would have been given. But instead, Brighton had a perfectly good ruled out. I mean, it's incompetence of the highest order, and how this can be. I'm kind of laughing because it's so mad that it's actually happened, that they are there in the studio to do that one job. They have the technology at their hands to do it, and they either don't use the technology in Lee Mason's case, or they use it completely incorrectly in the other case of in Crystal Palace. It is staggering levels of incompetence, and it could be massively costly for Arsenal, because again, they weren't great yesterday. They didn't really deserve to get anything from the game. In anything, I think Palace probably should have won. They were a better side. They had the better chances. And if Ivan Toney, who was brilliant all afternoon, if his finishing was a little bit better, that was the only thing that let him down. Brentford would have won that game comfortably, because he had such good chances, and Arsenal didn't really have that good of chances. But you've got to put that all to one side, because this is football. Sometimes you win games that you don't deserve to win, and Arsenal were heading to win that game, even though probably they didn't deserve to, because they found a way to stay in the game and get the goal, and then they got it all taken away from them by an absolute shambolic, farcical, just a shambles of a decision that was taken in a studio miles away from the ground by a referee who is clearly completely incompetent in Lee Mason, and that is exactly what he is. He should not be in the job, plain and simple. This isn't the first time that Lee Mason has done this to Arsenal this season. It was Lee Mason who was VAR at Old Trafford when he ruled out Gabriel Martinelli's goal earlier in the season. Again, something that was later admitted by PGMOL that was the wrong decision. That goal should have been allowed to stand. Lee Mason was in the studio, overruled the on-field decision, and the goal was chalked off, and Arsenal would have gone 1-0 up. Instead, they ended up losing the game 3-1. He was also the referee. I'm not sure if you remember this one. It was between Crystal Palace and Newcastle at St James's Park, who ruled out a goal for Newcastle, which is one of the, again, was hilariously bad in terms of the level of incompetence. He ruled out the goal, for Joe Willock got shoved into the goalkeeper by a Crystal Palace player, Tyreek Mitchell. Clearly it was a foul on Willock, and yet somehow they ruled out the goal for it being a foul by Willock on the goalkeeper. And it's just Lee Mason, just unbelievably bad, and he has always been unbelievably bad, and yet he's being allowed to continue to do this. After that incident at Newcastle, he was taken off duty for 1 week, and then he came back. Where's the punishment in that? Well, I mean, how is it? It's just, he should not be in the job anymore, and this has to be the final straw, surely. You can't just let this go without anything having it. And I know, and look, this is a bit of a rant, but I just can't, when it's this, there's millions of pounds at stake. Every season there is the Premier League title at stake. Arsenal have not won the Premier League title since 2004. They're enjoying this amazing season. They do not deserve to be let down by complete staggering levels of incompetence in the VAR studio. They just don't. And look, I know there's this whole thing of decisions even themselves out over the course of the season, and fair enough, when you're talking about on-field decisions which happens in the speed of the game, where mistakes can happen. That's just the nature of things because of the speed that football's been playing at. But when it comes down to just a plain and simple offside decision, which is why VAR is there, to get that right, and you don't even draw the lines, you forget to draw the lines, how do you stay in a job after that? It is just, they have to take decision. Now, my understanding, Arsenal aren't going to make a formal complaint over this. They think, look, their sort of thought process is, look, it's done now, we just want to focus on Manchester City. And fair enough, that is right. But the Premier League, for them, they should be looking at this and demanding answers because of what happened this weekend, because it's an embarrassment to them. They pride themselves on being the best league in the world, and yet they are allowing this sort of thing to happen on a weekly basis. And yesterday was the worst yet. It was a complete embarrassment for all involved, not just at Arsenal, but the other decisions that were taken, and something absolutely needs to happen. I mean, Mikel Arteta, he was angry yesterday, and he didn't even know at that point that Lee Mason just had forgotten to draw the line. So I can't even imagine what he is feeling right now. I mean, this is what he said yesterday. He just said, I look back and it's offside. Yeah, it is frustrating, but probably they'll give an explanation later in the week. Today we haven't got that. Looking at the images, you can apply certain principles in defending, and you can do that by sticking to the rules, and suddenly you apply different rules and you have to change your principles. Tell us before, because then you don't hide the line that high, because you're always going to have an advantage if you get blocked. So his main argument was the first offside, which was offside. Which again, I didn't know at the time, because I didn't really know that whole rule about if you're blocking, then you are deemed offside, even if you're not, the ball doesn't end up at you. And clearly Pinnock was offside when the ball came in, and he does block Gabriel. He stops his run, which ends up going to the back post, I think to Tony, who then puts the ball across, and it ends up being a goal. So there was two offsides there. Arteta's main argument at the time, after the game in the press conference, when he sat there and he talked about it all, was that initial offside for the blocking. I can't even imagine what he's seeing now when he's found out that the lines weren't drawn, because it's just staggeringly bad. And we don't know how costly it's going to end up being. We won't until the end of the season. When the season's finished, we find out who wins the title, where Arsenal finish, where Manchester City finish, how many points difference there is. But this is a massively costly moment for Arsenal, and it's cost them 2 points. So we'd be sitting here right now, 8 points clear at the top of the table with a game in hand, having got back to winning ways since after the defeat at Everton. But instead they've drawn the game. They've now gone 3 games without a win. They're only 6 points ahead. Man City will probably cut that to 3 points if they beat Aston Villa later today, and then there's huge amounts of pressure involved in the Manchester City game on Wednesday night. It just shouldn't be that case, because it was there, the technology was there to use, and they didn't use it. They didn't decide not to use it, they forgot to use it. It's staggeringly bad on so many levels, And I'm going to stop my rant now because I've probably bored you all and it's the last thing you want to hear on a Sunday morning. So I just needed to get that off my chest. And now let's talk a little bit more about the game in depth. Obviously, I did my player ratings video yesterday. I've just a little bit more sort of thinking about the game. I do think Mikel Arteta missed a trick yesterday. And, Arsenal weren't great, no doubt about it. And in terms of that goal that they conceded, yes, after all my rant there, yes, it was just a farcical from the referee and it shouldn't have been allowed to stand. But having said that, Arsenal still should have got that ball clear. They had plenty of chances and it bounced around about 4 or 5 separate times, and each time Brentford ended up getting their head to it, which is no surprise because Brentford are an absolute team of giants. But still, there was opportunities for Arsenal to get that ball clear and they didn't, and that was Mikel will be disappointed with that as well. I just felt he missed a trick not freshening it up. I think, he stuck with Martinelli, who's clearly struggling for a bit of form. For the first time this season, he's struggling for a bit of form, jaded, tired, whatever you want to say. But it just felt like this was the perfect opportunity for Trossard to start that game, do something a little bit different, give Martinelli a rest, which he clearly needs. But he's stuck with the same starting 11 again. It's the same 11 he's used every single time since the return from the World Cup. And it just feels like a mistake to me. Trossard came on, he immediately made a difference. He got himself the goal. He offered something a little bit different. And it's just suddenly Brentford had something else to want to think about, to wonder about. Now, Arsenal, in a way, their consistency's been their strength this season because what Arteta knows is what his players can do and they're very well drilled and all that. But it comes to a point when that consistency becomes a little bit predictable, and it's just feeling the last couple of weeks, Everton and Brentford both knew exactly what Arsenal were going to do. They set themselves up to counter that, and they did it very, very well, and they nullified Arsenal's threats as a result. After the game yesterday, Thomas Frank even kind of admitted that he knew that if you doubled up on Arsenal's wingers, that would really stop them because of the way Arsenal play and how important those two wingers are. And so they doubled up at them all the time, and it really limited Arsenal as an attacking force. Had Trossard been playing, and he's a very different proposition to Martinelli. He's not that sort of touchline hugging winger. He's more of the winger who will come inside and get into those central areas and pull players out of position centrally. Then it could have been a little bit different, and that's why I just felt that Arteta maybe missed a trick a little bit yesterday by not starting Trossard and giving Martinelli a rest. But it's going to be interesting to see what he's done now against Manchester City, considering Trossard came on and scored the goal and Martinelli struggled once again. Does he make a change from the start for that game? Do you leave Martinelli out of the biggest game of the season? It's a big call to make, it's going to be intriguing to see what he does. Elsewhere, it was a difficult game for Saliba. I thought Tony was immense. I thought he was so good, apart from his finishing when he had 2 big chances that he missed in either side of half-time. But in terms of the actual level of performance and a sort of central striker's performance, he was just so strong. I've not seen Saliba bullied but like that at all season. It was just a fantastic performance from Tony, who just looks a wonderful player, and he's proven to be, and he has done since Brentford came up in the Premier League. And I think depending what happens with the whole betting case that's going on with him at the moment, he could well get a very, very big move in the summer. But full credit to Brentford. I thought they were excellent yesterday. It's no surprise they're now 10 games unbeaten in the Premier League, and they've not conceded many goals. They're just so well drilled. They're a giant of a team. The physical nature of them make them really difficult to play against, and they break with such threat with the 2 forwards and the way they get forward, and they caused Arsenal all sorts of problems yesterday. And they absolutely fully warranted their result. But the result to take something away from that game, but it still shouldn't have happened. The decision, just staggering. And I don't want to get back to that now because I've already had about a 10-minute rant at the start of this video. But it's a worry for Arsenal, conceding again, kind of from a set piece, not being able to clear that. It happened the last couple of games, didn't it? Man United scored from a set piece when Ramsdale dropped it. A little bit different, I suppose, because that was more of a goalkeeping error than anything else. He should have gathered that, and then they conceded the goal at Everton to the corner. This one came from a free kick yesterday. That is a bit of a worry. Mikel Arteta spoke about it afterwards, admitted it was something they need to improve on. You do think the way Arsenal's struggled a little bit in the last couple of games, it's going to be very different on Wednesday night because they're going to get a lot more space with the way Manchester City play. The City aren't going to come to the Emirates and do what Everton and Brentford have done in the last couple of games, so Arsenal are going to have miles more space to exploit, and that might well suit them. It's just going to be a huge game, no matter what. City win that, they go top, even though Arsenal do have a game in hand. If Arsenal win that, then suddenly they're clear again, at least 6 points clear again with a game in hand, and they're in total command of the title race against. It's just a huge match. Going to be lots of tension. There was clearly tension at the Emirates yesterday. It's the first time I've really heard that this season. You could just feel an edginess around the ground the longer it went on, and that's because of the stage of the season we were at. Suddenly there's so much on the line, and everyone's going to get edgy, and Arsenal are going to have to deal with that. They've not really had to deal with it before, this young team, and it's something they're going to have to deal with if they want to get themselves over the line, and we'll see what happens. In that, Mikel's speaking to the press on Tuesday at London Colney ahead of the Manchester City game, so keep your eyes peeled from that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more fallout to the events at the Emirates yesterday, and if there is, then keep your eyes peeled to my social media feed. I've just tweeted out basically what I said in this video. I've done a big long opinion piece that's gone on live on goal.com at the moment. So if you want to read my thoughts, then head over to my Twitter page or go to goal.com and you'll see it there, because I've had a bit of an explosive rant on there as well about the events, the farcical events of yesterday. Alright, that's it from me. I've had enough of my rant, and I'm sure you've had enough of my rant again, so apologies for that, although I'm pretty sure there's going to be lots of you out there feeling exactly how I am feeling this morning. Have a very good Sunday, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll speak to you soon.